The adolescent brain, between self-isolation and enjoyment. Is the crisis of adolescence inevitable? Why does it not affect boys and girls equally? What is genetic about it? What's universal? What effect has culture and education on the risk behavior of some adolescents? The neurosciences may offer today interesting answers to these and other questions. It's a fact that the brain matures gradually. Adolescence is characterized by the physical and psychological growth of the person. It's the stage of human development between childhood and adult age. To understand better how and why these changes occur, let's look at the process of how the brain matures. From when we are conceived, the organs of our body form harmoniously and mature gradually. The brain itself gradually develops in form during childhood and matures in adolescence. This process occurs by areas and follows a sequence starting at the back of the neck, advancing towards the front. The pattern of formation and maturation of the diverse areas of the brain is dependent on the sex of the individual, since each of the brain cells carry either the chromosome pair XX or chromosome pair XY. The sizes of the diverse areas remain different throughout the gestation period. In the first years of youth, a wave of maturation reaches the frontal areas that control and connect emotions and cognition. In the beginning, the brain is formed solely by gray matter. Maturation is the process of converting gray into white matter. Gray matter is formed by neurons, developing their connections by producing multiple branches, dendrites and axons, in search of others to conduct and process information. The brain reaches its maximum size at the end of childhood. Then, remaining fixed in size, changes in structure occur. Adolescence is a crucial moment for the maturation of personality. Since the brain is reordered, some areas grow. Others become smaller through a kind of branch pruning that eliminates what is superfluous. And other areas are reorganized. Connections between neurons are modeled through so-called synapses. At the same time, axons become enwrapped in myelin sheaths to improve conduction of information. Little by little, these nerve endings unite to others, forming fibers and fascicules. In this way, and approximately between the ages of 8 and 18 years, the gray matter gradually becomes white, like by a wave, reaching in different moments the different areas of the brain. At the same time that this process is taking place, cognitive faculties are being perfected, capacities to study, read, memorize, and so on. It is now possible to establish a functional and architectural pattern of the brain as a function of chronological age. The parietal lobes, responsible for the coordination of movement, mature first. Then the areas processing sensory stimuli mature. Development then continues in areas of the frontal and temporal lobes responsible for cognitive and emotional processes. And finally, the maturation wave reaches the prefrontal cortex implicated in the control of impulses, judgments, and decision-taking. This universal pattern reveals natural differences in the maturation of brains of boys and girls. What depends on the effects of pubertal hormones takes place at different ages and in distinct ways, cyclically in girls and in a continuous way in boys. In girls, regions of the frontal cortex processing language, aggressiveness, and impulsiveness mature more rapidly. In boys, regions of the inferior parietal lobe, crucial for spatial tasks, mature more rapidly. Also, areas of the hippocampus and brain amygdalae differ in their maturation, contributing to differences in cognitive and social development during adolescence. The brains of primates mature from the back of their necks towards their minuscule fronts. Thus, changes in the architectural patterns of their cerebral cortices are reflected only in more and better links between neurons. Animals do not have a crisis of adolescence. Only human beings are permanently open to the influence of education, their relationship with others, and their own personal decisions. Every human experience leaves its trace and produces changes that remain in the pattern of neuronal connections in the brain that are specific and proper to each life and personal history. The brain of the adolescent is unstable due to the rapid changes that occur to transform the brain of a child to the brain of a youth. At this stage, the transition from dependence on the family to independence through interpersonal and social relationships takes place. Maturation entails emotional, mental, psychological, and social changes, influenced by sexual hormones whose concentration increases dramatically in puberty. Interest for sexual activity increases, and changes in motivation, impulses, and emotions are felt. All in all, changes in the personal world of affections occur and mature at a time when systems are maturing to integrate emotions and rational decisions to control and regulate emotional responses in an autonomous way. Circuits permitting autobiographic memory are also established that are indispensable for the formation of personal identity. In adolescence, desires arise to know answers to questions like, "Who am I?" and "How am I?" In general, the brain of young girls becomes highly sensitive to emotional nuances of approval, acceptance, or rejection. Their priority is centered in social relations, pleasing and being liked. Stress breaks out when conflicts with others or an unexpected danger appears. Their stress is relaxed with conversations sharing intimacy, thanks to the fact that estrogens promote the release of dopamine, the hormone of happiness, and oxytocin, the hormone of confidence, which in turn feed that impulse in search of intimacy. In general, for boys, the increase in testosterone levels induces a desire of disappearing from the social environment. Their interest in social relationships is reduced, except in matters related to sports or sex. Vasopressin, the hormone of masculine energy, allows boys to enjoy being competitive and wish to maintain their independence. They have a need to occupy and ascertain their place in the masculine hierarchy. Temerity is more pronounced in boys, a feature so characteristic of that age, because they consider more the expectation of benefits rather than the risks involved. The wave of maturation may follow its natural course and rhythm, or change in response to impacts caused by experiences with different persons, situations, and actions. The establishment and regulation of circuits in the brain are modeled precisely through education and personal conduct. All these effects contribute to the way each one constructs his or her own brain. Natural changes are not the cause of an emotional or conduct crisis of some adolescents. That crisis, when it takes place, is the result of social influences and the personal experiences and actions of each one on a brain which is naturally vulnerable. Although not in such a pronounced way as in adolescence, the brain remains exposed to changes all through one's life, depending on experiences, decisions, convictions, and values we keep assuming. We always have the possibilities to develop habits, as well as also reshape the circuits we may have distorted over time with our actions.